Cause if you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not. All right.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Mark my words.
She's so sweet like jasmine. I just gotta have it on you. Oh, you. like jasmine. I just gotta have it on you. Oh, you. She's so sweet like jasmine. I just gotta have it on you. Oh, you. She's so sweet like jasmine. I just gotta have it on you. Oh, you. She's so sweet like jasmine. I just gotta have it on you. Oh, you.
Mark my words.
What's left for us? What's left? What's left for us? What's left? What's Cause I give too much and I give enough
That boy's crazy.
Cause I give too much and I give enough
What is good? What is good? Welcome to the show. Can I get a mic check? We ready to do a show or nah? Are we ready to do a neo soul deportation stream? This is a dope track to get kicked out of America to. If I was dragging people across the border back into Mexico, I would have this in my headphones. I would be having the smoothest bop as I drag you back to Tijuana. I'd be moonwalking as I hike y'all through the jungles to Alligator Alcatraz. I'm going to deport you, sucker. Yeah, yes. This is great music to deport a nigga to. We got the best get the hell out of American music. You know, when you kick him out, you got to kick him out in style, right? You can't just be all quiet and silent with it. You got to have a nice little bop to it. You hear that drop with the saxophone in the back? They're going to be sad when they leave. This is going to make them feel better. How's everybody doing tonight? Can we get a like? Can I get a single like? I just want one like. I have low expectations. I only ask for one like. You guys work it out among yourselves who's gonna like the video, but I just want one of y'all to like the video. We'll start from there. Anyway, you know what? Enough of this. Let's get to the show.
I'm so tired of Black American people getting on this app and saying that birthright citizenship is not for the descendants of slaves. That's exactly what birthright citizenship was for. Now, is Donald Trump trying to weaponize birthright citizenship to divide minorities? Perhaps. But let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's take the truth for what it is. Now, we can choose to use the weapon however we want, but let's take the truth for what it is. There is no advantage in saying that's not who birthright citizenship was for. Now, you can take that power and leverage it and say, hey, other minorities, if you want us to step in your fight because now you're afraid of your citizenship being at risk, then we need to leverage this power. We need to come together where it's not just about you, but you also are about us because we still have grievances. What is it that we can gain from coming together? Black people are so willingly to give out their voices, their participation, and not take into consideration what their ancestors did. Now you have a reset. Now you can get the power and the respect that you need. And it's the Democratic Party. People are so disillusioned by the Democratic Party and they follow it so strongly that the ideals and the agenda of the Democratic Party starts becoming the mindset of a lot of Black people. Watch what they do, not what they say. So when it came down to DEI, everyone was saying, well, DEI ain't got nothing to do with Black people. That's because the people who push DEI push those other groups above Black people. And when you have an opportunity to get leverage, you just freely give it away. No, you form a coalition and say, hey, if you want us to help you here, you need to help us here. But we don't want you to, every time we have an issue, you turn your back. But then when you have an issue, you want us to show up. That's exactly who birthright citizenship is for. Black Americans, descendants of slaves. That's your power. You can't compare that to people who came here, brought here involuntarily, forced to work for free to build this country.
Now, I try to see around the corner, if you understand me. And I look at this birthright citizenship argument just like months ago when I noticed the whole FBA thing picking up momentum and it's becoming sort of a movement, a very organic grassroots kind of movement. And I knew instantly this is going to put you at conflict with the majority of the Democratic black base, right? Not just the DNC as a party, but the black side of the DNC. This SBA issue is going to bring up problems because the Democrats are not going to cut you a reparations check. National reparations is undoable. Yet that is kind of the carrot on the stick that's been sold to black folk over and over. And so with the FBA movement kind of really pushing something like reparations as a grievance issue, and then you couple that with now this immigration issue, it's definitely making trouble for the Democrats. And then again, peeking around the corner, in terms of allyship, if black people are now claiming and willing to defend the very notion of our birthright, meaning we are owed something that no other group of black people around the world are owed. So none of the Africans, none of the Caribbeans, nobody with any melanin is owed what we are owed from America. And to allow these other people to basically ride on those coattails is actually an affront to every slave who got whipped, every slave who got thrown into battle, every slave who got put on that boat. What was all that for if you're just going to give away the fruits of labor? So frankly, when it comes to Africa, broadly speaking, obviously not all, right? But between African Americans and black Americans, y'all sold us, we put in the work, and now y'all want to come over here and blend in among us as if y'all never sold us over here to put in all the work to begin with. Hashtag never forget.
Can't compare that to people who came in and hurry up and had a baby just to come on. That's a slap in the ancestors' face. We can weaponize that, but use it for a weapon that benefits black people. And please stop with this fear mongering of black people are next. No, black people were first, and you're feeling that, and you can't stand it. So you try and guilt black people into helping you. Black people, black Americans, descendants of slaves are constitutionally protected.
Chuck who asked, what about the Redskin Indians though? Chuck, can I call you Chuck? Chuck, I hate to break it to you, you know, go Redskins, but we not tribe with the Indians either. There's a lot of black folk that claim to be Indians and all that, and that's cute, and that's fine if you really believe that. But we are distinctly different groups of people, and then there's the whole Indians had slavery well after the end of the Civil War thing, and it gets kind of mucky. You know, we're not really with the Siberian Husky allyship thing now. We're just not doing that anymore. It was cool for a little while. You remember that one Indian guy with the one tear? Yeah, that was dope. Yeah, that's over now.
And ain't a doggone thing Donald Trump can do about it. Well, when it becomes your turn, well, but I'm like Kanye West. At that point, slavery would be a choice. You can't take the people who built this country. They were afraid to give us armory and weapons and then tell them we about to enslave you. Who gonna go? Make it make common sense. The other acknowledgement that you all don't seem to see is the subtle jealousy. How can they have a right here and not me? And so they do this mind game with you to try and trick you out of your position. Then I hear this one too. The vision don't help us. It was last week, Black fatigue. You couldn't stand to be around black folks last week. So
look, if we buy into the birthright citizenship thing, and I was leading up to this earlier and I kind of went in a different direction, but our natural allies are the other people who claim birthright in America. Now, I'm going to take a pause there, let that soak in. Chat, help us out here. If black people can claim something called a birthright to America, the country and the land, the physical territory, then who do you suppose can join black people in that claim of birthright to this great nation? You know, that's the weird thing. You know that saying, politics makes strange bedfellows? Yeah, it's time to do that strange bedfellow thing. No Diddy. If we're dealing in birthright and we can already firmly establish by constitutional mandate black people have a birthright, well, who else do you suppose shares that birthright with us? And technically, when it comes to the rest of the world, the non-white world, you know, all the melanated millions of people around the world, billions technically, when it comes to the rest of the world versus the black birthright in America, who do you suppose will defend black America's birthright against the rest of the world who comes to take your stuff? Everybody wants their hand in your black birthright pie. Who do you suppose will be your ally in that struggle to protect your black birthright from the brown hordes of the world? Horde, not whores, horde. I don't want to be protected from whores. I want them to come at me, whores.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
So division don't help you. Like, people feel entitled to black bodies when it comes to, and black voices when it comes to civil rights. That's how much encoded it is in our DNA. That's how much encoded it is in American history, that you feel as if there's an injustice. We got to get the blacks. Black people see the pattern, see for what it is.
My cousin just called me and she was like, "Oh, Nay, they need medical staff at Alligator Alcatraz." And I'm like, "Bitch, I'm not working at no motherfucking concentration camp. Y'all be willing to sell y'all soul for a couple dollars." And I just got morals. And the thing is, I don't like how they treating them fucking people. No, I'm not going out there to work. What kind of shit is that? And then y'all be risking y'all lives for $25 an hour. Y'all finna go out there with pythons, alligators, mosquitoes, malaria, and all kind of other shit for that little bit of ass money. What the fuck is $25 an hour? When money be involved, people do it.
You know, Snowman, I love when a woman uses her giant boobies to tell me how moral she is. I can tell how moral she is because she came at me with her boobies. That was a telltale sign right away. Like that one, she's got a double dose of morality.
Everything. And honestly, to me, I don't care how much money you get. When you don't got no morals and the way you getting it, you always gonna be poor to me. And morally bankrupt people are always gonna be poor to me in my eyes, because all you care about is money. You don't even care how you getting it. No, I'm not fucking going out there to work at a fucking concentration camp and they treating people like fucking shit. Y'all crazy.
I was gonna make a joke about Germany, but we're better than that. We are better than that. We don't have to make jokes about Germany and camps of concentrations and all that thing. No. We are so much better than that. But I gotta tell you, it does sound like the one chance to reenact a historical moment in time. If you're into that kind of thing, if you just happen to be into that kind of thing, you know, like, what if one day, like on your first day of work, you show up in a full SS uniform and be dead serious the whole time? Like, what do you mean? How am I dressed wrong? This is the outfit, right? I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, it does sound like it'd be a great opportunity to have some fun.
We came here on our statutory authority to be able to visit this detention center. We were denied access, citing safety reasons. We asked then, and we've actually, so for the record, we've been waiting for about 2 hours to get in. Uh, According to the statute, it's a shall, not a may. We're able to come unannounced without providing notice. They said we didn't give notice. There was a press release that went out at 11:30 that we were coming here. The GOP welcomed us, so they knew we were coming. It is interesting that it is called unsafe when just hours ago that the President of the United States and Republican lawmakers were allowed to have.
You know, it's crazy. The couple of times I was arrested, I don't remember any of my elected officials outside the jail trying to, check on my wellness. I never got one wellness check from any of my representatives, a council person, the lunch lady. Not even a lunch lady came to holler at me. It's crazy. I should have been a Mexican.
Have access to this facility. It is also concerning that there are human beings, detainees in here, that if it's unsafe for us to be in here, how is it safe for them to be present? This could not and should not be happening. And I believe, and I think we all can agree, that what's happening in there is more than likely inhumane. It's more than likely cruel. We've seen pictures of flooding. We've seen pictures of, we've been out here in the rain. We've seen the mosquitoes. So if this is happening to us, I can't imagine what's happening to them. I asked the question, I'm a lawyer. If I have a client in there, am I able to go see them? I was told yes. And they said, okay, well, I have a client in there. Can I go see them? I was told no.
Ha ha.
So make it make sense.
You know what? All my life, I've been hearing about a black and brown coalition. And finally, I found one. It turns out the black and brown coalition works for the Browns.
We are here to demand access to this detention facility. Based on reports that we've been able to glean, the site is already experiencing flooding. The first individuals who have been detained with no due process have arrived. And it's so essential when you have hundreds of millions of public dollars being spent on a political stunt that we have the ability to see for our own eyes what is happening and to be the voices of our constituents. We are here to demand access.
These black political women ain't loyal. They just be out there with every other ethnicity, keying it up.
On the DHS part, this is really important because this big bad betrayal bill is not disconnected from what we're seeing with immigration on the streets. It actually supercharges ICE's activities in terrorizing local communities, in kidnapping and disappearing and deporting immigrants across this country. Right now, for detention, for ICE detention, we spend about $3.5 billion. The big bad betrayal bill increases that number to 45 billion. 45 billion from 3.5 billion. So across the board, and then there's separate money for ICE agents, for any number of pieces of the transportation, the deportation, all of that. So it is really essentially saying if whatever you see right now, Joy, multiply that by 10 to 12 times. That's what we're going to start seeing in terms of ICE agents terrorizing, disappearing, kidnapping immigrants, deporting them to third countries, holding them in incarceration facilities. These are jails.
After watching all the footage of literal armies of people, just armies of faceless, homeless Latinos walking all the way from South America through Mexico. What's that place? The Darien Gap? Like, it's like the whole trip has been mapped out, and we're watching these people, just armies of people marching across the border. And I'm okay with a little aggressive policing, man. I don't care if one of them accidentally falls out of a helicopter. I'm just saying, you knew the risk when you were coming here.
Now, these are not really civil detention centers, which is what they're supposed to be.
I mean, concentration camps is what I call them. When we just looked at that alligator one in Florida,
Yeah,
that looks.
Oh, boo-hoo. Oh, one of the Mexicans hopped over the fence at Alcatraz and he got eaten by a gator. Oh, boo-hoo.
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
I had to forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to round up brown people, and throw them in a camp because he doesn't want them in Florida. Surprise, surprise, the economy of Florida is going to be severely harmed by rounding up brown people who, by the way, all over this country, Latinos are afraid to go to work. Anybody who is perceived or looks Latino is afraid to go to work. I know people who are.
I know it looked crazy on the street right now. It looks really, really crazy on these streets right now. I hear the streets in LA look like the streets during COVID. Like when I was driving around in New York City during COVID, it was the best driving ever. There weren't any really police on the street. It was like driving through the apocalypse. It was so peaceful. It was nice. It was beautiful almost. And I hear Mexico. I mean, I hear LA is like that now.
Someone just asked me, are the streets empty? I'm right across from the Beverly Center. Yeah.
It's quiet, like one of those videos from Los Angeles in the 50s. It's almost like we went back in time. I wonder what Los Angeles would look like if we had actually policed the border. If we actually had aggressive border control for the last 40 years, I wonder what Los Angeles would look like. I imagine it would be a lot whiter and blacker. And now we have neither. The Midwest request with the $2 super chat, he says, wait, groups have no loyalty to other groups? Oh my. Yeah, the chicks are always the last to find out about loyalty. It's weird how that works. It's a very unique thing to girls. They don't understand the concept of loyalty like men do.
The streets are empty. So people are acting like we didn't do all we could. We did all we could. And now we out of options. So to go deal with reality and stop attacking all of us and calling us racist when we aren't the racists. Stop doing that shit. Here I am. That is the traffic. That is the city now. So that tells you a lot.
You low-key sound happy though. Like you walking around, you feel safe. I bet you crime is kind of low-key dropping a little bit while the ICE raids are happening in Los Angeles. Like, cause a lot of y'all just gonna have to lay low while ICE is running around. You know, you gotta keep an eye on your kids and your women now. Your priorities are completely different. You're not really in the mood to do a lot of breaking and entering right now.
And you guys act like other Americans from other parts of the U.S. shouldn't have a right to maybe want to come here, to want to come move here, come get work here.
David, bikes are definitely safer right now. There are people in Los Angeles riding a bike right now who haven't ridden a bike in 15 years. It just felt like that type of time.
And you guys, and the excuse, well, we're not the only people who didn't hire you. But guess what? If it's this many people empty, what does that tell you? That tells you that it's a lot of jobs that not only Black people could have had.
Told you she was happy. She know what's up.
And the excuse, well,
I can hear the inspiration in her voice. She know what's up. She like, hey, man, sucks to be you, but I'm about to take that job they just took you off of.
We're not the only people who didn't hire you. But guess what? If it's this many people empty, what does that tell you? That tells you that it's a lot of jobs that not only Black people could have had, but white people too. Seniors, teenagers, people who need.
Who did she say? I know she wasn't talking about foundational Americans.
It's a lot of jobs
that not only black people could have had, but white people too.
I know you ain't talking about the foundational Americans. They took our gerbs. Goddamn immigrants, they took our gerbs.
Jobs. Empty. What does that tell you? That tells you that there's a lot of jobs that not only black people could have had, but white people too. Seniors, teenagers, people who need a part-time job, just a part-time job. So yeah, it does make a difference.
You go get your steps in, Granny. You get your steps in a cleaner, fresher, safer Los Angeles, all right? Pretty soon it's going to be a blacker Los Angeles too. You keep it up, we're going to have Chocolate City on the West Coast. We haven't had a West Coast Chocolate City yet. We almost had one. Then y'all let the Mexicans run all the niggas off.
This shit that's happening with the immigrants is really sad. It's really depressing. I watched a little girl on TikTok, 19 or 20, tell a story about how her father is terminally ill. The doctor gave her father 6 months to live, and ICE came to get her father and locked his ass up. She said there's no way for a person to die. She needs help. She wants people to rally behind her to help get her father out. And she finishes off her speech with, "It really hurts worse knowing that I voted for Donald Trump."
At least she was honest.
I will vote for Donald Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump.
She said there's no way for a person to die. She needs help. She wants people to rally behind her to help get her father out. And she finishes off her speech with, "It really hurts worse knowing that I voted for Donald Trump."
At least she was honest.
Listen, hey, Esmeralda, I appreciate you being honest, babe. And I'm so sorry for your dad. But that bitch gonna die in there. He done. What you need to do is get you a plot and try to make out a deal to get that body. Because they might spark his ass up and chop him into a taco. You know they eating him now. Sucks to be you, Esmeralda. Fuck you, bitch.
Whoa. That was a lot of hostility coming from a biracial. Why are the biracials always so hostile, by the way? I'm noticing a trend of hostile biraciality. Hostile biracialness. I'm telling you, there's something. Everything is. I'm just noticing things. That was very angry.
But that bitch gonna die in there. He done. What you need to do is get you a plot and try to make out a deal to get that body. Because they might spark his ass up and chop him into a taco. You know they eating him now. Sucks to be you, Esmeralda. Fuck you, bitch. We told you not to do that. You know why? Because you bitches are selfish. You men and women are selfish, soulless motherfuckers. Because even if you did fall for the lie, I can understand that. You fall for the lie of this president say he's going to get out the bad ones, right? But the fact that you secretly judge some of your brothers and sisters that come over that motherfucking same gate you came over, bitch, is the crazy part.
Hey, listen, man. I'm pretty sure my pop snuck into this country with some illegal papers. I remember years ago, he told me some kind of story. Like his name was like, I always call him Melvin Flint from the Noriega album because he told me some weird name. You know, these Caribbean niggas, they be having weird names and shit sometimes. And so my pop was telling me, like, yeah, no, when I came to this country, like, no, I had to have some fake papers to sneak over here. And I was just, waiting for my paperwork to get right. And I was like, this nigga named Melvin. I can't believe my pops is a nigga named Melvin. All right. And then, like, so full disclosure, right? My pop is technically, I guess he swam across the border. I think my dad could have been considered a wetback, but I always think about it like now we're having this immigration debate. I'm like, damn, this nigga Melvin should have locked the door behind him. Like, bruh, you were slipping.
You know your cousin Hector got a DUI, bitch. What about Hector? You wasn't worried about Hector, was you? Fuck you.
Let me see. What did I have up next? Oh, my man, Billy Dizzle. Billy D. Shout out to Billy D on The View. Billy D making the hoes mad on The View, y'all.
Beyond, I am just so honored to meet you. I will be honest, I'm just looking at Lando Calrissian in my mind, and Lady Sings the Blues and Mahogany, and just right. That's all I mean, just incredible. So you did start, as Whoopi said, in the industry at a time when few people of color were on TV and in movies, and early.
Everybody's a people of color.
Yes. Well, a black man.
Well, a brown skinned
Brown skinned man. And early on, you struggled to find work, being offered either stereotypical roles.
Is that everybody's a people of color?
A black man. So you did start, as Whoopi said, in the industry at a time when few people of color were on TV and in movies, and early.
Everybody's a people of color.
Yes. Well, a black man.
Well, a brown skinned
man. And early on, you struggled to find work.
This black identity thing is really going to blow up the left wing, because if you really think about it, like the Rainbow Coalition is literally a bunch of separate groups like stitched together to make a flag, and the flag is coming apart at the seams right now.
Being offered either stereotypical roles or nothing at all. Did you ever think about quitting? And if you didn't, what kept you going?
Well, I don't know. You just live from moment to moment and do what you have to do, and expect things to not always go your way.
Now, since we're talking about the Hollywood people, this is a woman here named Rachel True. And I had to zoom in on her because the picture looks familiar. And I'm like, oh, that's the black girl from, what was that, Sister? It was a Sister? No, not Sister. There was like half sisters. It was her and that other light-skinned black girl. And I always kind of like this one a little bit better. And now, just like all the other women in Hollywood, she woke. She says, foundational blacks all excited because there are more low-paying manual labor jobs available for black Americans is not the flex they think it is. Listen, I'm sorry, baby, but we can't all work in Hollywood. We can't all have a nice, cushy office job. We can't all have a show up and do nothing girl boss job. Some of us have to actually get our hands dirty. And not only that, and this is a tough thing for some people to understand, some of us like the work we do. Like I've been driving like crazy this last week. I've been working double shifts. I barely slept last night. Like as soon as I'm done with this show, I'm gonna take a nap and get up at like 1 o'clock in the morning and drive some more because I like what I do. But not everybody understands that Trump opening up more space for blue collar workers means there's opportunity for more black men to earn money doing something that they like doing. I know it's a difficult concept for people to grasp, but there are a lot of guys who actually enjoy their work. They enjoy the fact that they are working. But that's the Hollywood thing for you. Anyway, what else did I have? I had some other stuff coming up because there's one long video we're going to review. But before we get to that, oh, yeah. What is this even about? Let me share something with y'all. Just to aggravate the audience a little bit. And we got over 100 people in this audience. And I need y'all to like the video. And somebody drop $1 in the super chat for me. Shout out to True Hype with the $5 super chat. He says, an older black lady years ago told me that immigration hurts black folk. She was a school janitor. And that was the last older person that told me that. Well, most older black folk are like, they're kind of politically cooked, honestly, because they're so ingrained. They're so indebted to the Democrat Party and the Democrat system. You really can't talk a lot of the old people out of their position, nor should you try. Imagine me being 90, letting some little 20-year-old tell me I'm wrong about life. I get it. You're locked in. It is what it is.
Stay away from Niakata. Stay away from Niakata. Stay away from all the gangsters.
Oh, and they using the beat that I know. I know that beat. Oh, stop. Feel like a brand new person. Make the same old mistake. Carmen, I know you know that song because you put me onto that song, Carmen. I know you know that song because I know they stole the beat. These Steven ass Nigerians.
Stay away from Niakata. Stay away from Niakata. Stay
Tame
away from all the
Impala.
gangsters.
Yeah, Tame Impala. The church vibes together. Let the church vibe together. They stole some of our vibe, bro. These niggas stealing our vibe, bro. How you gonna steal our vibe? Talk about stay away from the Akata. Nigga, stay away from my beats. How about that? Stay away from my Jordans. Stay away from my Nike tracksuit. Stay away from my fitted hat. When I see you, I want you to show up in a loincloth every time. Show up in a loincloth. Go kill a lion and wear that nigga. Talking about stay away from the Akata. These niggas stealing our beats, bro.
There's some hustlers and killers and all the shooting that nigga.
Niggas stealing our swag. Is that American money? Is this nigga counting American money? I
Stay
know
away
you're not
from
counting
Niakata.
American money.
Stay away from Niakata.
This fat jelly roll neck nigga, stay away from me, Akata. You see what I mean? This is why we have to aggressively deport. They're getting too bold, bro. They've been getting way too bold for way too long. The Midwest request with the $2 super chat says, talking shit from a penthouse, trying to relate. Bro, it's dark, bro. It's dark. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is why I was talking about the concept of national chauvinism. You know, it's not a pure racial thing in that sense, right? We don't have to be a pure racist thing, but just know that when you come to my house, I need you to be nice, right? Because if I go to your house, you're gonna want me to be nice too, right? You don't want me stealing your beats, making diss tracks against you. That would be crazy, right? And then Vanta with the $2, the €2. Had to get my money right. Shout out to Vanta with the €2. He says, don't trust biracials. They're confused and lost. You know what? I'm going to leave that alone. Shout out to Vanta with the €2. Throwing that money across the big pond from me. Appreciate you. Universal Jones with the 5-ball. Salute. Keep the good content going. Thank you so much, brother. Universal. Stay away from the Akata.
Stay away from all the gangsters and hustlers and killers. All the shooting ass niggas.
All the shooting ass niggas. Oh, man. We should talk about the crime rates. Actually, you know what? Technically, the crime rates in a lot of African countries aren't all that high. But if you go to like hot spots like Johannesburg or whatever, it's ridiculous. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I call it a wash. A lot of our biggest black criminals are immigrants and whatnot. The immigrant community imports a lot of that hot-bloodedness. Anyway. Niggas stole our swag and then made a diss track on it, though. The nerve. Where is Carmen? Carmen, you the one that told me about that song. And I'm like, look at these niggas. Look what they did to you, the song you love. God damn, this is crazy. I hope that fat nigga winds up in Alligator Alcatraz, by the way. Jelly Roll dance his ass through Alligator Alcatraz.
Part two. Why the fuck do you think we're being deported anyway? Black and brown, if they can get us up out of here. Trying to help y'all. There was too much strength in numbers in this country. Too many laws were being passed. Too much advancement was being made. That's why deportation is a thing amongst the black and the
Chuck. Hold up, Chuck. I know you're not trying to clean up the word Akata. He says Akata is a term of endearment. There's no hard R in Akata. Nigga, please. This nigga said there's no hard R in a kata. Bro, you gotta own your slur, man. Your people carved that slur out of the mud. Your people had nothing. And now they have their own racial slur, bro. Don't disown all the hard work your people did to build up their own racial slur. Now you want to act like it's a term of endearment. Nah, bro.
Nigga, please. Serious.
Own it, Chuck. Your people built that.
Brown that they can give it to. White immigrants ain't being deported because that contributes to their wealth. We didn't contribute to their wealth. We tried to share it with y'all ass. So when y'all say, oh, we don't owe y'all nothing, we ain't standing with y'all, it's really a slap in our face, both black and brown, because if we had focused on ourselves, we'd be further. We wouldn't even, but we don't operate like that. We see what you go through. They knew once we got off them boats and got off them planes, this motherfucking country was in trouble. We came from all across the globe seeking a better life to be brothers and sisters with you. You feel me?
What you mean, brothers and sisters? And this nigga Chuck in the chat, you up here trying to convince me that we all brown and black brothers and sisters, and this nigga Chuck in the chat capping talk about Nigerians say, what's up, my Akata, please. This Akata be tripping. Oh man, yo, we got to have some honesty, bro. We can't be brothers if we not gonna be honest, all right? You got to take the bonnet off, man. You got to take the bonnet off and think clearly, all right? We got to be honest, all right? This is why we got a bro like Chuck in the chat, so we can be reminded. We need to be reminded, all right? We are not the same people. They got their thing, we got our thing. We don't always have to get along.
How many people in the Black Lives Matter movement was Caribbean? Very few were American. They wouldn't show up. They wouldn't leave their house. Some did. Who was on the front line? The Caribbeans, the Latinos, the Black Asians, the brown Asians, the ones who were lighter skinned. Either way.
Black Asians. I feel like I can't even conceive of such a thing. Like, there are some very dark-skinned Asians. There are some Indians that are damn near Nilotic, right? They are black as hell, phenotypically. But I feel weird calling them black Asians. Like, nah, they just dark-skinned Asians. I was about to say a really mean slur, but I'm not. We're better than that.
It goes. Other people of color were on the front lines with you, being thrown to the ground, maced, jailed, and some more shit. Even the indigenous. So for y'all to say.
Hey, and shout out to my man True Hype with the 2-ball. Everyone can get it, including white immigrants. You know, it's a funny thing because I had this this picture up from Wendell Pierce, famous black actor. I think he was in The Wire. He was in the Jack Ryan show, which is really good, actually. And Wendell is speaking up for the immigrants, and he's saying that no raids of the Russian community in Brighton Beach or the Irish community of Boston, which is true. But again, I don't remember seeing armies of white Europeans walking through South America trying to make it here. I don't think we have armies of Russian anchor babies. And Russians would more likely probably vote red anyway. But I don't think we really have armies of white folk that we have to get rid of. Nobody has to speak Polish to work in McDonald's. You know what I mean? You don't have to learn a Latino language to flip burgers.
It's like y'all used us. You used us to push your agenda. You used us to protect you because you couldn't protect yourself. Why do you think strange fruit was made? Do you remember what the hell was going on in this country before we got off them damn boats and got off them planes and shit, black and brown? They eased up when they saw that it was strength in numbers. And now that we getting the fuck up out of here, they're deporting our aunties and uncles in the older generation. You sit your privileged ass right there and say you don't owe us shit.
Well, hold up. Sucks to be you. I got nothing for you. I don't. I got nothing for you. I know you weren't expecting you were expecting some type of logical, heartfelt appeal. Nah. Bye. Sorry. Go live with your grandma in Grenada. I don't care. Shout out to Clay Bisbee with the 2-ball. He says listening to Bonnet Bandits is a lose-lose life. It is. That's why I got nothing for it. I really do. I got nothing. Not a thing. You know, Heavy D was like, I got nothing but love for you, honey. I ain't even got that.
Make it stop. Make the hurt stop, please. Like,
none of those things. Tough. The Midwest request with the 5-ball. He says those allies were waiting on nightfall to loot your neighborhood, my G peep game. I mean, yeah. Do we really have to talk about like the fire bombings on the West Coast again? Do I have to remind y'all of how they really got the black folks off the West Coast? Anywho, it's all good. Water under the bridge. You guys can go home now.
I heard Vibes Cartel say this, and he said, basically, like just to paraphrase that, Black Americans, they're the privileged Black people.
The way he phrased it was Black Americans are the most privileged Black people on the planet.
Whoa. We're going to come back to that. True Hype with the 2-ball says, peep the nose ring, the bull ring, bullshit about to follow. Yeah, the nose ring never lies. I've never seen a septum ring make a good point. Never, not once. It's crazy how like that's like a statistical reality. Very few things are 100% in life, especially with human behavior. And I've never seen a septum ring make a good point. You look, now that I've put that in your mind, you go out in the world and look. Every time a septum ring talks, it's some crazy shit. Afro Merchant with the 5-ball says support. Hey, fist in the air, bro. Black American fist in the air. Shout out to Afro Merchant. But, you know, speaking of that Black American fist, I think we are privileged. And that's a good thing.
I heard Vibes Cartel say this, and he said, basically, like just to paraphrase that, Black Americans, they're the privileged Black people.
The way he phrased it was Black Americans are the most privileged Black people on the planet. It's funny because when you tell Black Americans this, they're going to look at you like, what are you talking about? But I think overall, when you look at where everybody else is in the world, we're looking at the people in the States saying, yo, y'all have so much opportunity. It's just whether you're going to embrace it or not. You know what I mean?
What about the flip side of that argument, though? Just to be a contrarian, American come back to him and say, what about all that trauma and all that baggage that comes with our ancestors' journey to America?
That's the price of privilege, brother. That's the price of privilege. All right, yeah, we had to be slaves, you know. We carried some cotton or whatever. Cotton ain't even all that heavy until it get wet, you know what I mean? It's not like every day was struggling, you know what I'm saying? But we did the work. You know, John Henry was a steel driving man. You know, we put the work in, and now we get to have a better country than all the other Black countries. Looking back at it, I feel like it was a great deal and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like if I could totally undo slavery because it was wrong, I still wouldn't do it. I'm like, nah. Have you seen the new Jays? Bro, for Jordans alone, I would just be like, you know what? Let it roll, bro. Let it roll. Niggas in the jungle can't never buy no Jays, bro. Them niggas ain't never been fresh like me.
I think Americans think they know what corruption is, but they've never really truly experienced what corruption is. Go to certain places in JA or certain places in Africa where it's like, yo, the government is like, bro, I had a conversation with somebody who told me he came from Eritrea and how nobody can leave Eritrea.
I know you can't. It's hard.
They had to, like, the man said I had to walk for 3 days, no food to get to South Sudan, to get out of Eritrea, just get out of Africa.
My man said he had to walk for 3 days across the desert. He was using like the old slave runners trails and stuff like that. I'm good, bro. I'm good. These niggas ain't never been fresh like me. Shout out to Vanta with the €2. He says, thank you for the Tether song. Stay away from me, Akata. You got that, bro. You got that. I ain't even tripping. Y'all have y'all thing. But y'all ain't never been fresh like me. It was worth it. It was totally worth it. Oh, don't even get me started on the spinning rims era. The spinning rims era, oh my God, it was all worth it just for the spinning rims era. Nigga, they was spinning. You niggas can't have that in the jungle.
General. Could you then make the opposite point that there's a guy living on the beach in Jamaica that has a little fish shack that has a much better quality of life than somebody in the US? I think all the societal pressures, diabetes, all this overweight, the welfare system, the projects, and this guy just living easy on the beach, makes his little couple $100 USD and just lives for till he's 120. But here's also the other flip side.
Yeah, that sounds good and all, but I don't want to be a primitive nigga living in a hut on the beach. It sounds like a fun vacation. I might do it for 3 days and live stream it. But nah, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Side of that, those people that live in Africa or those people that live in JA also exercise something that a lot of people on this side of the world don't, and it's called gratitude.
Yeah, yes, Biggie Smalls was Jamaican. Me not care. Me not care if a mama dig a little shimmy. Me not care. All men must choose, bro. All men must choose. You either in or you out, Dwight. It really is that simple. You either in or you out, Dwight. You can bang for America or you can bang for these other gangs, bro. It's like day one of jail. You're gonna have to figure it out really quickly. Things are moving so fast, bro. You have no idea. Things are moving so fast. You're gonna have to make decisions you never thought you'd have to make in life.
If Trump snatch up, say, 100 African Americans and deport them to Sudan or Libya or Nicaragua or El Salvador or wherever, those people are gone. They're out of the country. They're God knows wherever. And so let's say one of their family members file a lawsuit on their behalf. And let's say they successfully get an injunction from the judge. Well, it used to be before this case that the judge could say, basically, you got to return all 100 of these African Americans.
See, you see how quick that went? You see, Dwight just did some math really quickly. Dwight just did some real world arithmetic. He's like, we welcomed their culture into ours, but they didn't want to get with the program. It really does start to become that simple, right? I told you, you're going to have to bang somewhere for somebody, bro. It's like the first day of jail. It's really, really hard to stay neutral. Sooner or later, somebody's going to come knocking on your cell, bro. The war is up.
Because you unlawfully deported them. But now, with this case, the judge could only say you got to bring that one person back. And the other 99, although it's unlawful, he cannot prohibit that unless they do a class action lawsuit. And class action lawsuits can take months, if not years, to get certified. So those other 99 African-American people could be over there lingering, rotten in some jail or whatever, while their cases matriculate.
Now, when he says African American, does he mean African American or does he mean African American? I'm confused because y'all be like double speaking all the time. I don't know what this means anymore.
Through the court system. It's almost like saying you can't kill that man after you done shot him. Listen, this court case essentially said to judges, you cannot issue nationwide injunctions except for certified class action lawsuits, even if what he is doing is unlawful. So if you phrase the question this way, can Trump lawfully deport African Americans? The answer is clearly no. But that's not the question. The question is, can he deport African Americans even if it's unlawful? The answer to that question is yes.
This is basically saying, well, you know, what if Trump decides to shoot a nigga? All right, well, and it's illegal. What do you mean? Like, that's not the question here at hand. These niggas is on this giant fear-mongering run, and I couldn't help but to notice. Let me show you something here, because I'm going to skip off of him. He ain't really talking about much, but I want to share this with you, right? I want you to see just how intense the fear of FBA is. My man made a 44-minute video. And he adds editing and everything to it. Like, it wasn't just 44 minutes of raw. It was just, 44 minutes plus his editing work, right? So who knows how long he really spent. This is like the political version of Hoes Mad, bro. This nigga made a 44-minute video against the FBA movement.
Hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad.
This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology.
Time has expired.
My life was threatened. Thank you.
Hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes mad.
Have you heard of ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery? How about
hoes mad?
My bad. It wasn't it was a
FBA.
Okay, yeah, FBA. I knew it
Foundational
was in
Black
there.
Americans. I first encountered the term FBA in the comment section of one of my YouTube videos on the Harlem Renaissance. One comment read, "The FBA families didn't migrate anywhere in the United States. They simply moved from one part of their country to another, and the term African American is null and void." I've noticed the term used by more and more Black Americans over the last few years. So what's the deal behind these terms, and what are they really about? To understand ADOS and FBA, one has to be familiar with their complex interrelationship with the Tantan group. While ADOS and FBA
He's really now attempting to link ADOS and FBA with white nationalism and racism and all that white boogeyman stuff. And my thoughts on that, I've kind of come to a conclusion. I'm okay with that.
Oh my God, we'll have our home again. My God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home.
If that's the song that they chant every morning before they go out on an ice raid, I'm okay with that. I'm happy for them.
primarily advocate for lineage-based reparations and identity for descendants of enslaved Africans in the United States, the Tantan Group is a network of organizations dedicated to severely restricting immigration, driven by a white nationalist agenda. A direct organizational link exists through Yvette Carnell, a co-founder of ADOS, who served on the board of Progressives for Immigration Reform, a group explicitly aided by John Tantan. Beyond this direct connection, significant ideological parallels exist in their shared anti-immigrant rhetoric and the principle of lineage-based exclusivity, which, despite differing stated motivations, contribute to similar outcomes of restricting immigration and fostering internal divisions. There are strategic implications where the rhetoric and actions of ADOS and FBA whether intentional or not, align with and potentially advance the broader political objectives of the Tantan Group, particularly concerning voter disengagement and reduced opposition to anti-immigrant policies.
Damn, I'm all muted up. I thought I hit the button. My bad. Afro Merchant says, by the logic that black and white originated in America, we're the only black and white people. Everyone else are European, African, or place of origin. This upsets immigrants, though. And that's exactly my logic of it, right? These are ideas that have been like really pioneered and low-key battled over in America in particular. Because like a lot of the other places in the world that had like black-white relations, it was literally colonial holdings, right? Like the African places that were former colonies and stuff. So if you get to like black British people, this goes back to the post-war generation. Before World War II, there were almost zero niggas in all of London. Like it was like the king forbade niggas in London. You had to literally scour the back alleys of London to find a black, right? But after the war, the Windrush generation, they have a whole thing of inviting people, right? So now what you get today is a bunch of woke black British kids who say stupid shit like, my people built this country, gov. It's like, no, they didn't. Your people came here after the war and took jobs that all the other guys died and they couldn't do those jobs anymore. Like they literally replacing the jobs of dead soldiers, right? Because those guys couldn't come home from the war and drive a bus no more. And so that was kind of the argument of importing these people, right? But that only goes back a couple generations. Black in America goes back to the fucking dirt. Like it's literally in the foundation of the country. It's not the same argument at all. That's why the FBA thing is a powerful thing in the face of all the other blackness out there. The only other way to be this black and national is to go back to your black country and be proud of your black country. That's the only other equivalent energy. You can't be an African in Ireland and claim that type of ownership. We're the only ones. We are literally special
within the Black community. This convergence underscores how seemingly different political movements can contribute to a larger political ecosystem where extremist ideologies may gain traction by leveraging complex social dynamics. The American Descendants of Slavery, ADOS, is a political movement and term referring to descendants of enslaved Africans in the United States, primarily advocating for reparations for systemic injustices of slavery. The movement and term originated from the hashtag ADOS, co-created by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. Foundational Black Americans, FBA, is a lineage-based designation rather than a formal organization, identifying direct descendants of formerly enslaved Black Americans in the United States. This concept emphasizes a unique claim to foundational status and reparations, distinguishing them from other Black people who do
That was
not
a good
descend
call,
from the
Dave.
formerly enslaved in the United States. And then the Tanton Group refers to a network of organizations founded by John Tanton, a figure identified as a white nationalist and eugenics proponent. This network dedicates its efforts to severely restricting immigration to the United States, fundamentally driven by a desire to maintain a, quote, European American majority, end quote. Key organizations.
That's what I want too, technically. Yeah. America low-key has always been, it's always been a white country with a Black minority. And then we started inviting all these other non-white people into the country. And I liked it better when it was just us and them. I really did. When I was a kid in the 80s, it didn't look the way it does now. And I miss the way America used to look.
Organizations within this network include the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, the Center for Immigration Studies, CIS, and Numbers USA. The ADOS movement emerged from the hashtag ADOS, co-created by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. At its core, the ADOS movement demands reparations for the system of slavery in the United States, specifically for American descendants of slavery. Their vision extends to a, quote, New Deal for Black America, which includes reparations and a substantial government-funded tax credit ranging from 50 to 75% for college expenses.
Now, again, that is the one contention I really have, and it's a big one because that's the organizing principle of FBA and ADOS. But I'm telling you, the reparations argument is politically dead. You're going to have to find something else to ask for. Reparations ain't going to work. Anything purely racially based is not it's not an easy sell. And so, yeah, that's the one thing that about the FBA ADOS movement that I just wish they would kind of, I wish it was different, but you take what you can get. This is the world we live in.
Individuals. A fundamental aspect of the ADOS identity is the call for a unique ethnic designation on census forms and college applications. Proponents assert that ADOS individuals and other Black people are not the same. This emphasis aims to redefine the discourse around African American identity, shifting it from a broad racial category to one centered on specific lineage. A distinguishing feature of the ADOS movement is its explicit focus on Black Americans who descended from U.S. slavery and its stated disagreements with Black immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean.
Hey, Vanta with the $2 with the €2 says USA is Anglo-Saxon and Black slaves, no one else. Now technically, that is an ethnic identity in itself, right? Anglo-Saxon is a particular European identity. That's basically the Teutonic, sort of the Germanic whites, because America had a heavy Germanic population. And then you have like the northern, the Swedish kind of whites, and then you have like the Brits, right? The UK whites. And that was pretty much the white part of America. And then we had the obvious Black slave population. And not every Black was a slave or whatever. Not every Black goes back to the plantation in their lineage, but that was the majority as we understand it. And that is basically the American identity. And to change that is to change America. And I'm not really feeling like change. I think Obama was wrong with all his hopey changey bullshit.
ADOS underscores this distinction by demanding separate census designations for ADOS and Black immigrants. While the movement supports affirmative.
Mike, you say I should have a call-in show? That's an interesting idea, Mike. I might do that. I mean, I open up my panel every now and then. I don't do an open panel every single episode, Mike, because it's bad for the algorithm and be trying to keep my show as clean as possible. But I do open up the panel, and I take pretty much random guests. So if I open up the panel and you want to take the link, brother, feel free.
Action for American descendants of slavery.
Probably not tonight, though, because I got to go to work.
Such policies for all other ethnic minorities. Supporters of the ADOS movement have publicly criticized immigration, and their rhetoric has an anti-immigrant sentiment, despite their denials of xenophobia. Their platform advocates for specific policies that would remove Black immigrants from affirmative action programs and impose limitations on visas for African immigrants.
Remove Black immigrants from affirmative action programs? Tell me more.
Critics contend that these proposed policies would effectively relegate Black immigrants to a second-class citizen status. The ADOS movement's stance on immigration, which seeks to differentiate and disadvantage Black immigrants, creates an internal division within the broader Black community. This viewpoint aligns the movement with a nativist perspective, even if its stated motivation is to secure resources for a specific lineage. This othering of immigrants, including those of African descent, echoes the broader anti-immigrant sentiment found in other movements. The practical effect of their immigration stance, limiting immigration and disadvantaging immigrant groups.
David in the chat says, rank of USA by nationality: number 1, German American; number 2, Irish American; close third, African American, Black American; number 4, descendants of British American; number 5, Mexican American. Dave, I knew that offhand because I've learned what America really is.
Converges with the objectives of groups with explicit anti-immigrant agendas. This convergence of objectives with other anti-immigrant groups suggests a potential for ADOS's specific demands to be co-opted or amplified by forces with broader anti-immigrant goals, as their rhetoric contributes to a climate of skepticism towards immigration. While ADOS leaders Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore identify as anti-Trump and lifelong Democrats, the group has frequently attacked the Democratic Party, urging Black voters to seek alternative political avenues. Notably, pro-Trump and right-wing figures such as Ann Coulter and Ali Alexander have utilized the ADOS hashtag. In addition, Yvette Carnell once appeared in a MAGA hat, which she later dismissed as a joke. Critics, including civil rights leaders, have accused Carnell of engaging in xenophobic birtherism against Kamala Harris and promoting a Black purity test described as nothing but self-hate.
Should Black people learn how to speak Spanish? You know, for the culture.
Cloaked in Black self-love. A study, though subsequently retracted due to its methodological concerns, concluded that ADOS functioned as a, quote, disinformation operation that served the interest of the political right by discouraging Black people from voting, end quote. Other commentators have characterized ADOS supporters as trolls and a mix of Black pro-Trump racists. ADOS rhetoric is amplified on social media by
a Black pro-Trump racist. I feel like they'd be watching my show, but they don't want to say my name.
By bots, trolls, and fanatics. These tactics are similar to documented voter suppression campaigns, including the Russian disinformation efforts in 2016 that sought to weaken the Black vote and infiltrate unified social justice movements. The persistent criticism that ADOS functions as a disinformation operation, potentially serving right-wing interests by discouraging Black voter participation, represents a significant causal connection. A reduction in Black voter turnout or a shift in their traditional voting patterns away from the Democratic Party would generally benefit conservative or right-wing political agendas. This connection implies the ADOS movement, regardless of its internal intentions, has a strategic utility for advancing broader political objectives, particularly those of the political right. The Tantan Group's agenda, which is deeply intertwined with right-wing politics and aims to restrict immigration.
Right now, and especially with this immigration issue becoming a real hot button political issue for the Black community, I'm telling you, wait till the midterms come around in another year. I'm waiting for people to get called betrayers and backstabbers and coons and whatnot. It's going to come out. A lot of raw feelings are going to come out because of this immigration thing. And the question I want to pose, though, given that we have this immigration issue on the front, is Black America's future safer in the hands of the right wing or the left wing? Like, these are the tough questions you're going to have to ask yourself going forward into the future. Moonduck Maximus says, ain't shit gonna happen. Could be right. We'll see.
would indirectly benefit from a less engaged or more fractured Black electorate, as this reduces organized opposition to their policies. The documented amplification of ADOS narratives by external, potentially malicious actors, bots and trolls, further support the idea of a deliberate strategy to leverage ADOS's distinctive rhetoric for political gain. This dynamic illustrates how seemingly distinct movements can contribute to a larger political ecosystem where the Tantan Group's influence isn't solely through direct lobbying, it also benefits from creating a political climate where anti-immigrant policies face less resistance, partly due to internal divisions within potential opposition groups. Foundational Black Americans, FBA, is a, quote, lineage-based designation, end quote, rather than a formal group or organization. It's
Why'd you have to say that with air quotes? Like lineage-based is such a crazy idea. You love your mama, don't you? You love your grandmama, don't you? Well, that's lineage-based love, nigga. Why did he have to air quote it like it was a crazy idea?
Quote, rather than a, quote, lineage-based designation, end quote, rather than a formal group or organization. It specifically refers to the over 43 million Black Americans who are direct descendants of the freedmen, the formerly enslaved Black people emancipated in the United States. This lineage is a unique and unbroken connection to the foundational builders of the nation. Those who subscribe to the FBA concept believe it is vital.
And do we have a Kiki in the chat? Shout out to Kiki Pettiest. It looks like two people in that image, but Kiki says they don't think we should get reparations. And I always wanted a Kiki in the chat. Welcome to the show, Kiki. Listen, I'm telling you, the reparations thing, it's the carrot on the stick. It's been promised to Black folk as a pipe dream to keep you essentially in the drug den. You know, imagine the Democrat Party as like one of those drug lounges where everybody's smoking opium and shooting dope. Reparations is the opium. It's the hopium for Black America to stay on the plantation. And I'm not even going to debate you whether or not Black folk deserve it. I'm telling you, it was never meant to happen.
To distinguish so-called foundational Black Americans from individuals born in Africa or other people of African descent whose ancestors do not descend from the formerly enslaved in the U.S. A key belief among many foundational Black Americans is that reparations paid by the United States government should be exclusively for those whose ancestors were held in bondage in the U.S. based on their claim as the, quote, foundational builders of this nation. FBA is referred to as the, quote, latest iteration of Black othering, end quote, having been preceded by the concept of ADOS. Both are Black identity groups that focus on lineage and the pursuit of reparations. Critics argue that the FBA perspective, quote, resembles the MAGA program, not only in its othering of immigrants, but also in its exclusionary nature.
Yes, SBA resembles the MAGA program. By default, SBA is not MAGA at all. It just so happens we don't like all these new niggas, and I can't help it if that puts us on a team together.
Drawing parallels to European groups that historically conceptualized white privilege to reserve it for exclusive groups. Critics say that the FBA concept is, quote, short-sighted, selfish, and exclusive, end quote. It is the betrayal of Pan-Africanism and the documented historical practice of Black people coming together as one, regardless of tribal, ethnic, or national.
Israelite 1865 says it costs us nothing to expect it. I imagine you're talking about reparations, and I argue it does cost us something to expect it. If you expect free money from the food clinic, you're going to show up to the food clinic every day. I mean, the food clinic is a stupid term, but if you expect free money from the welfare office, you're going to show up to the welfare office every day checking on your free money. If you expect free money from the welfare office, you will eventually anchor your life around the welfare office, right? And so when you argue that it cost us nothing to expect it, I tell you that it cost you your soul, bro.
Affiliations. Research indicates that FBA rhetoric, quote, tends to suggest a lean towards conservative ideology, aligns with right-wing and particularly alt-right talking points, and potentially contributes to disengaging Black Americans from the voting process, drawing comparisons to Russian disinformation tactics aimed at weakening support for the Democratic Party. The FBA concept emphasizes a narrow lineage and advocates for exclusive benefits, contributing to the fragmentation of Black political identity and solidarity.
Look, guys, I'm getting a lot of pushback, and we've got a lot of people in this chat. I think we're hitting a record live number for this channel. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Hit that like button. Out of all 130 something of you people right now, one of you niggas got to hit the like button. That being said, let's talk about it a little bit, man. Revanche says it's not free money, it's a debt that's owed. Difference. Racialized group debts are... It's a tough sell, bro. It's a tough sell. And again, I just don't have the energy to explain my position of why I don't think it's ever going to happen, or why I just don't think you should expect it. But I am not the one who's been promising Black folk a pipe dream. And what I want people to understand is that you have been sold a pipe dream. And while you've been sold the promise of a reparation, they've been flooding the country with other brown and Black people who are going to make sure you do not get your reparations. And so that is literally the game at hand here. It was never meant to happen for you.
No more money for you. It's lazy. You lazy. You lazy. No more money for you.
This internal division, particularly the othering of immigrants, mirrors the Tantan Group's broader anti-immigrant agenda. The alignment of FBA rhetoric with right-wing and particularly alt-right talking points suggests that external political forces are leveraging division within the Black community. Let me say that again. The alignment of FBA rhetoric with right-wing and particularly alt-right talking points suggests that external political forces are leveraging division within the Black community. The FBA framework identifies itself by specific lineage, the descendants of freedmen, and advocates for reparations exclusively for that group, explicitly distinguishing itself from other Black people, including immigrants. This framework creates a strict in-group, out-group dynamic within the broader Black community based on specific historical experiences in the United States.
Yeah, those are called realities, bro. Reality creates the in-group, out-group dynamic. Like I said, Black America, we are literally special Negroes, bro. No other group of Black people can claim ownership of a Western nation, let alone the big dog. We are the big dog on the block, right? You niggas can claim Ireland if you think that makes you happy. You can claim the UK if you think that makes you happy. We built America. And I would like to be seen as different from the rest of these niggas. I swear to God, I really do.
This exclusionary approach, particularly the othering of immigrants, makes FBA's rhetoric compatible with and potentially beneficial to broader anti-immigrant movements like the Tantan Group. While FBA's focus is on Black American historical claims, the effect of their stance on immigration aligns with the Tantan Network's goals of reducing non-white populations. The explicit comparison of FBA's perspective to the MAGA program and its alignment with right-wing and particularly alt-right talking points strongly suggests a strategic convergence where FBA's internal divisions serve external political agendas. This dynamic illustrates how identity-based movements can become co-opted, even those rooted in legitimate historical grievances. Their rhetoric can also become amplified to serve agendas fundamentally different from their stated goals.
He's saying we've been co-opted by MAGA. Well, it's been like 6 years. Well, how long? Actually, no, it's been almost 10 years of MAGA, because that's 4 Trump, 4 Biden, and basically 1 year of Biden. I mean, 1 year of Trump again. Let's round it up to an even 10 years of MAGA. I haven't gotten a check yet, bro. I have not gotten a MAGA check. I received more money from Google than I have from MAGA. MAGA, if you can hear me, I'm open to negotiations, by the way. I won't sell myself, but you can rent me out for a couple of hours.
Especially when those agendas benefit from internal divisions within targeted communities. John Tanton, a retired Michigan ophthalmologist, is widely identified as the, quote, racist architect and founding father of the modern anti-immigrant movement in the United States. He passed away in 2019. His core ideology was deeply rooted in white nationalist beliefs and eugenics. Tanton stated, quote, for European American society and culture to persist requires a European American majority, and a clear one at that. Tanton's views evolved from an initial interest in population control and environmental conservation. When the indigenous birth rate in the U.S. fell below replacement levels, his preoccupation shifted to immigration, which he viewed as the primary cause of population growth, leading him to focus on racial demographics. He notably promoted the lurid and racist novel, The Camp of the Saints, which depicts an invasion of the Western world by swarthy hordes of Indian immigrants.
Camp of the Saints is crazy. I keep hearing that book get mentioned in like right-wing intellectual conversations, and I gotta look into the Camp of the Saints, bro, because it is it's a lot of shocking little tidbits, a lot of shocking quotes coming out of that. Let me see if I can YouTube search that. Oh, Camp of the Saints. It is on YouTube. Oh no. The Camp of the Saints audiobook. It's on YouTube. We might have to do some listening, man. They say reading is fundamental, y'all. We might have to do some reading together, y'all.
The book over 10 months. I came out of it totally exhausted, almost unrecognizable, even to myself. I've written other novels since then, but this one, I must say, seemed to have been dictated by an otherworldly force, by an inspiration from on high I wouldn't dare name. Only after I had finished the last chapter and reached the point of no return in the final confrontation between us and them, in italics, did I wake from the horror and become myself again, that is to say, a somewhat degenerate and overly sensitive Westerner.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be listening to that while I'm driving later.
His private correspondences reveal his deep ties to the white nationalist scene, including communication with Holocaust deniers, former Klan lawyers, and leading white nationalist thinkers of the era. He also expressed alarm about a Latin onslaught and questioned the ability to educate Latino immigrants. Tanton established a sprawling network of organizations to advance his anti-immigrant agenda, often funded through U.S. Incorporated, his philanthropic foundation. The Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR. Founded in 1979 by Tanton, FAIR is his flagship organization. Its primary mission is to limit immigration to the United States and set immigration quotas at the lowest feasible levels. FAIR accepted over $1 million from the Pioneer Fund, a white supremacist foundation devoted to, quote, race betterment, end quote, through eugenics. Due to its ties to white supremacists and racist statements, FAIR has been designated as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. It actively seeks to overturn the Immigration and Nationality Act of 19...
Didn't we used to have race betterment programs for Black people? Like, did that used to be an idea unto itself? Like, you have to better the race? It seems like we sort of abandoned that very idea. Like literally the idea of reparations has replaced the notion of bettering the race.
1965, which ended a decades-long racist quota system. The Center for Immigration Studies, CIS, established in 1985 as a spinoff from FAIR, CIS claims to be an impartial think tank. However, the Southern Poverty Law Center has designated it as a hate group due to its history of circulating racist writers and associating with white nationalists. CIS' agenda is severe immigration restriction, advocating for policies like attrition through enforcement, making life difficult for undocumented immigrants to encourage self-deportation, and nationwide E-Verify. Then you have Numbers USA. Founded in 1996 by Roy Beck with Tanton's assistance, Numbers USA advocates for reduced legal and illegal immigration. It aligns its mission with recommendations from the U.S. Commission on Immigration Reform and the President's Council on Sustainable Development, focusing on population stabilization and reduced job competition.
Shout out to Mystery Enigma with the 1597 super chat. He says, don't trust the new ninja over there or here. Facts, man. Facts. CMB, bro. We all we got. And shout out to Mystery for smashing that super chat button, y'all. Smash that super chat for me.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! You make Hulk angry. You not like Hulk angry. Hulk no like fighting girls.
Afro Merchant says new blacks is an appropriate term. And that's literally how I kind of been looking at this last generation of college educated black folk. Like out of the last 10 years, I think you've kind of like seen an overdrive of the woke graduates because they've learned wokeness in college, and now they're out in the world inflicting it upon the rest of us innocent people. And they really are the new blacks. Like the old black movement, and the old black movement was technically woke too, but it was nothing as obnoxious as the new blacks, bro. The new blacks are just obnoxious.
Then you have the Progressives for Immigration Reform, PIR. This organization is known as the, quote, fake progressive, end quote, group that was aided by John Tanton. Significantly, Yvette Carnell, co-founder of the ADOS movement, served on its board. Other affiliated groups within the Tanton network include the Immigration Reform Law Institute, U.S. English, the Social Contract Press, Pro English, 21st Century Fund, and Population Environment Balance. The overarching
Chat, can we take it easy on the timeouts, chat? We got a lot of new folk in the game tonight, and I haven't seen anything crazy. Let them type in all caps. I don't actually hear him yelling in my head when I read his chat because, it's just words on the screen. Let him type in all caps. It's all good.
The goal of the Tanton network is to implement policies that restrict immigration as much as possible to maintain a clear European American majority in the United States. They advocate for significantly lower legal immigration numbers, stricter enforcement measures against illegal immigration, and policies that promote attrition through enforcement to encourage self-deportation. Specific policy stances include opposing birthright citizenship, supporting ideological screen tests for immigrants, and actively campaigning against sanctuary cities. Their messaging frequently links immigration to perceived negative impacts on jobs and wages, including for Black Americans and Latino citizens, environmental concerns, and strain on infrastructure. The Tanton network has received substantial funding, including millions of dollars from wealthy donors like Cordelia Scaife May and foundations such as the Pioneer Fund, which is known for promoting eugenics. These groups have profoundly shaped the immigration debate in the United States, with their principles frequently testifying before Congress and exerting significant influence on policy at the highest levels, including within the Trump administration. Tanton's Political Action Committee, managed by his wife, Mary Lou, has donated thousands of dollars to elected officials, further extending his network's political reach. The Southern Poverty Law Center has officially designated FAIR and CIS as hate groups due to their racist origins, white nationalist ties, and promotion of eugenicist views. The Tanton Group's enduring influence, despite its documented white nationalist and eugenics roots, highlights the effectiveness of its strategy to legitimize anti-immigrant sentiment.
The crazy thing about this all, if you really get deep in your blackness, you go back through the ages, you land at a point where George Lincoln Rockwell can have conversations. Him and his homies can roll up to a Black Power meeting hosted by the Garveyites, and nobody got beat up or nothing like that. And the crazy part about that is when you think about it, the extremes of the Black militants and the extremes of the white nationals, like the really far extreme white nationalist types, they're not necessarily at odds, right? They don't necessarily hate each other the way you would think. But when we look at history through the lens of, our woke liberal education, it's hard to really understand the realities of these groups. And so now when you have a guy like this bald-headed new nigga up here trying to tell us that you're somehow just like a racist white supremacist because you want a country that's basically full of white people and black people, well, then maybe I am. So what? What are you going to do? And shout out to True Hype with a $2 super chat. He says, why does he cite the SPLC as an end-all be-all? Because he's a plant, bro. He's an agent. He might as well work for the ADL as far as I care.
This legitimizing of anti-immigrant sentiment is achieved by framing its agenda through seemingly neutral lenses, such as environmentalism or economic impact, and by establishing a network of organizations that appear distinct but share a common racially motivated goal. It demonstrates a sophisticated long-term strategy to reshape American demographics and society. Despite their extremist foundations, these organizations successfully shape policy and public discourse, revealing a strategic mastery of public relations and institutional penetration. By presenting themselves as legitimate, quote, reformers or scholarly think tanks, they effectively mainstreamed ideas rooted in racial exclusion. This mainstreaming indicates a movement not solely dependent on its overt messaging, but also on its ability to create a diverse organizational front and find allies across the political spectrum. This phenomenon highlights a concerning trend where seemingly neutral arguments mask underlying racial motivations, allowing extremist ideologies to gain traction.
You know, while he's up here kvetching, you know, thank you to the Yiddish community. Some of you guys have some great words. But while he's up here kvetching about the FBA thing, I think it's an interesting question. When you say diversity is our strength, Roger, let me ask you this. If diversity is a strength, why are all the diverse countries in the world on the edge of civil collapse right now? Not just in Europe either. South Africa technically was the beginning of this modern woke diversity thing. South Africa went like diverse. I mean, technically they were always diverse, but they hit liberal diversity in the I guess in the 90s after apartheid fell or whatever. And so why is it that all the places that have made diversity a goal, why are they all on the verge of some type of basically civil war? That's a weird kind of strength.
In mainstream discourse. A critical direct organizational link exists through Yvette Carnell, a co-founder of the ADOS movement, who previously served as a board member of Progressives for Immigration Reform. Progressives for Immigration Reform is known as a, quote, fake progressive organization that received aid from white supremacist and eugenic supporter John Tanton. This connection highlights a direct pathway for Tanton's anti-immigrant network to potentially influence or align with movements like ADOS. The Tanton network historically pursued strategies to broaden the appeal of immigration restriction beyond traditional conservative or white nationalist circles, including documented attempts to forge alliances with environmentalists and other groups perceived as progressive. The existence of an organization named Progressives for Immigration Reform, coupled with its documented aid from John Tanton and Carnell's involvement, points to a deliberate and sophisticated strategy by the Tanton network. This fact suggests an effort to create or co-opt ostensibly progressive fronts to advance their anti-immigrant agenda, thereby diversifying the voices advocating for immigration restriction.
And there you go. That's the fear. We are pulling away from the progressive movement. We are literally peeling heads away. And that's the threat. Whether you have whether it's the manosphere convincing men not to follow women's leadership, or now you have this FBA movement convincing black people that you actually can't vote with everybody else because everybody else doesn't share your interest. It's pulling away from the progressive movement. And long story short, we've become a threat. We were always a threat. I was just waiting for everybody else to notice.
And making it appear less ideologically monolithic. The term fake progressive is crucial here because it implies a strategic deception. Progressives for Immigration Reform presented itself with the progressive veneer while advancing an agenda, anti-immigration agenda, fundamentally aligned with Tanton's white nationalist and eugenics-driven movement. Carnell's direct involvement with such a group establishes a tangible, albeit indirect, link between the leadership of ADOS and the Tanton Network's broader strategy. The Tanton Network is not.
Hey, Dwight. Dwight says, "Hey, don't forget the Indians too. Buffalo people was here too." Yes, Dwight. Buffalo people was here too. But we're having a Black Birthright FBA type of conversation. So the only Buffalo people we'll acknowledge tonight are the Buffalo Soldiers, and the Buffalo Soldiers killed a lot of Indians, and I'm very happy for them.
Not simply lobbying Congress, but actively shaping public discourse and influencing diverse social movements by cultivating individuals and organizations that can introduce or amplify anti-immigrant narratives within communities that might otherwise be resistant to them. This connection raises critical questions about autonomy and the potential manipulation of identity-based movements. It implies that the Tanton Network's influence is not limited to overt political lobbying, but extends to cultivating and leveraging individuals and organizations that can introduce or amplify anti-immigrant narratives within communities that might otherwise be resistant to them, thereby subtly expanding the reach of their agenda. Both ADOS, FBA, and the Tanton Group exhibit strong anti-immigrant stances. The Tanton Group explicitly seeks to reduce all immigration, particularly non-white immigration, within the stated goal of maintaining a white majority.
I think it was hilarious how revealing it was when Trump brought in like 50 white South Africans. It was almost like a prank. Because, like, what does 50 white folk really amount to in the grand scheme of things? Like, 50 white people, this isn't the 1800s. 50 white people really aren't going to change much, right? So, Trump brought 50 white folk from South Africa in, and everybody on the news was all of a sudden, those are not the right immigrants. What do you mean? Those people aren't refugees. It was really, really revealing. And so when you've created this openly hostile environment where it's just obvious you have a disdain for what's frankly the white native population of the country, I mean, do you expect them to just roll over and take it? Do you expect them to just let you have it? And True Hype with the foul ball says, "I got it, Hood, and I'm surprised it took me this long. Diversity is not your strength. It's for their strength, but don't ask who they is." True Hype. Remember what I told you about the Matrix? Eventually, you don't even see the ones in the zeros. You just see, girl in a red dress, guy in a suit. Like, you can just see it clearly. And if you watch and listen long enough, you will get to that level of the Matrix where you can just see past the ones and zeros and you know exactly what you're looking at. Shout out to True Hype with the foul ball. Thank you guys for supporting the show tonight. You guys have been crazy active on the super chat button. I thank y'all so much for that. Hit that like button. I'm not even begging for money. I just need that thumbs up, man. But the money is nice too. Thank y'all so much.
I need that money.
ADOS and FBA, while primarily focused on reparations for U.S. descendants of slavery, advocate for policies that would remove Black immigrants from affirmative action and limit visas for African immigrants. ADOS and FBA define themselves through a strict lineage, differentiating themselves from other Black people, specifically immigrants, and advocating for exclusive benefits for their defined group. This othering of immigrants by FBA is similar to the MAGA program. The most profound ideological parallel between these entities is the shared principle of exclusivity and nativism. While Tanton's network overtly pursues a white nationalist agenda, ADOS and FBA seek to prioritize a specific Black lineage. Both employ a fundamental framework that distinguishes insiders based on specific criteria like European ancestry or U.S. slave lineage from outsiders, immigrants, or those from unspecified lineages. Shared exclusionary logic, particularly the othering of immigrants, creates a fertile ground for convergence where arguments against immigration, even if for different stated reasons, reinforce broader anti-immigrant sentiment. The Tanton Group aims to maintain a European American majority by severely restricting non-white immigration and establishing a clear us versus them based on racial origin. Similarly,
when has it never been like that though? Like when you're a kid and your ethnic group is outnumbered, it's us versus them, right? When you go to jail and you gotta do some time, like real time. Like I've never done real time. I only got locked up for a couple of months. That was like I my homies done real time, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta make decisions. The ethnic groups become very clear once you get in there, right? It's never not been this way. We act like it's not that way for the sake of polite society. And for the most part, we can maintain that illusion because we need polite society to be a thing. But it's never not been that way.
ADOS and FBA aim to prioritize, quote, American descendants of slavery or foundational Black Americans over Black immigrants for reparations and other benefits, advocating for policies that disadvantage immigrants. This division also creates an us versus them dynamic based on lineage and ancestral experience within the US. Both frameworks rely on creating distinct in-groups and out-groups based on ancestry or origin, and both advocate for policies that restrict or disadvantage the out-group in some manner. This shared logic of exclusion is a powerful ideological parallel. Regardless of the group prioritized, achieving that prioritization through anti-immigrant policies and the othering of non-lineage-based groups aligns. This logic of exclusion means that even if ADOS and FBA are not directly promoting white nationalism, their anti-immigrant rhetoric and policies can inadvertently serve the Tanton Group's broader goals by contributing to an overall climate of anti-immigrant sentiment and reduce the number of non-white immigrants entering the United States. The explicit comparison of FBA's stance to the MAGA program further underscores this convergence. This convergence highlights how different social movements, even those at odds, can find common ground on specific policies like immigration restriction due to a shared underlying exclusionary principle. The political landscape is complex and allows for the diffusion of nativist ideas across diverse ideological spectrums, potentially weakening broader coalitions for social justice. Critics explicitly describe ADOS as a disinformation operation that serves the interests of the political right by discouraging Black people from voting. Similarly, FBA tactics lean toward conservative ideology and promote Black voter apathy. The Tanton Group, with its significant influence.
You don't have to promote anything. All you got to do is show people pictures of their Black leadership going to El Salvador and going down to the alligator Alcatraz, protesting outside of the ICE facility in Newark. What's the point of voting Black when every time I look up, all the Black politicians are helping the Mexicans? Like, I might as well just go talk directly to the Mexicans if that's how it's going to be. I guess you can call that apathy.
In the Trump administration actively works to implement policies to restrict immigration as much as possible. There is a strategic alignment where the internal divisions and voter disengagement fostered by ADOS and FBA movements indirectly benefit the Tanton Group's anti-immigrant agenda. By weakening the collective political power of Black communities, which traditionally lean left and oppose restrictive immigration policies, these movements reduce opposition to the Tanton Network's goals. This strategic alignment with organizations that indirectly benefit from anti-immigrant policies suggests a sophisticated, multi-pronged approach to shaping policy and demographics. The Tanton Network's long-term goal of maintaining a white majority is served not only by direct anti-immigrant lobbying, but also by any movement that reduces the political efficacy of groups that might oppose this goal.
Nobody in the Black political intelligentsia has ever really stopped to ask the question, how does it benefit Black folk to be a shrinking minority in a country that has a white minority? Like, walk me through the math of how that benefits us as Black America. And we've been kind of going down this path, essentially blindfold, for the last couple of generations, but that's the reality. Like, no one's ever stopped to really think it through. How does this actually help me? How does having less white people and more Indians help me? You know, when I call tech support and I hear a South Asian accent, I don't feel helped. When I hear a pleasant Southern or a Midwestern accent, I know help is on the way.
The documented amplification of ADOS and FBA's divisive rhetoric by external actors further suggests a deliberate strategy to exploit these internal divisions for broader political outcomes. This tactic reveals a complex and covert nature of political influence, where independent movements become leveraged to achieve outcomes that benefit external, ideologically distinct actors. It underscores the importance of analyzing not just the stated goals, but also the practical effects and strategic alignments of various socio-political movements, particularly concerning their impact on democratic participation and community solidarity. There is a complex web of relationships and convergences between the American Descendants of Slavery movement, the Foundational Black Americans concept, and the Tanton Group. A direct organizational link is established with Yvette Carnell, a co-founder of ADOS, who served on the board of Progressives for Immigration Reform, an entity explicitly supported by John Tanton. This connection suggests a deliberate strategy by the Tanton Network to cultivate ostensibly progressive fronts to advance its agenda. Beyond this direct link, significant ideological parallels are evident. Both ADOS and FBA and the Tanton Group exhibit strong anti-immigrant stances. While the Tanton Group's motivation is rooted in white nationalism and the desire to maintain a European American majority, ADOS and FBA, focused on lineage-based reparations for descendants of slavery, advocate for policies that disadvantage Black immigrants. This shared principle of exclusivity and nativism, which distinguishes insiders and
There seems to be an inability to do political math. So if, loosely speaking, if reparations is something that's owed by white America toward Black America, how does having less white America help your goal of getting reparations? I swear to God, it's like people just haven't thought it through. That's like if a nigga owe you money, right? Why would you try to get him fired while he owes you money? Or let's make it a different type of example, right? If you need to sleep on your homeboy's couch, why would you burn his kitchen down? Why would you start a fire in the kitchen? Like it's this type of suicidal logic that makes the whole thing stupid. Like, listen, if that nigga owe me money, I'm gonna make sure he get up to work every day. I'm gonna be his alarm clock, be banging on his door 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, look, nigga, hey, come on, time to go. Time to go. No messing around here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's really how you think about it, you know, if you're serious about the money.
Outsiders based on ancestry or origin creates a common ground where arguments against immigration, regardless of their stated rationale, reinforce broader anti-immigrant sentiment. The strategic implications of these convergences are substantial. Critics consistently describe ADOS and FBA as movements that, whether intentional or not, serve the interests of the political right by discouraging Black voter participation and fracturing Black communities. This internal division and potential voter disengagement within Black communities.
I don't know if you know this, bro, but Black communities have been fractured for a long time now. I feel like you've been like living in your college Blackness and it's like a bubble, but the Black community in the real world has been fractured for a long, long time.
Communities indirectly benefit the Tanton Group's anti-immigrant agenda by weakening collective political opposition. The documented amplification of ADOS and FBA rhetoric by bots online or trolls further suggests a coordinated effort to exploit these divisions for broader political outcomes, aligning with the Tanton Network's long-term goals of shaping demographics and policy. The relationships between ADOS, FBA, and the Tanton Network have implications for social justice, immigration policy, and racial dynamics in the United States. The Tantan Group, with its origins in white nationalism and eugenics, has effectively mainstreamed anti-immigrant sentiment by adopting a sophisticated strategy that includes establishing a network of seemingly diverse organizations and leveraging indirect influences. This approach allows extremist ideologies to gain traction in mainstream discourse by framing their objectives through seemingly neutral lenses such as environmentalism or economic impact. The phenomena observed with ADOS and FBA illustrates how identity politics, even when rooted in legitimate historical grievances, such as the demands for reparations for slavery, can be exploited or co-opted. When movements prioritize...
You know, it's crazy. It's our fault. It really is. It's our fault for noticing that we haven't really been getting much out of this situation. We should apologize because we shouldn't be noticing how bad that we're getting screwed over. That's us, bro. That's our bad. You know, we got to stop noticing how awful everything is. We got to do better.
Ties a narrow lineage-based identity and advocate for exclusionary policies, they risk fragmenting communities and inadvertently serving agendas fundamentally at odds with broader social justice efforts. The othering of immigrants can create divisions that weaken collective power and make communities more susceptible to external political manipulation. Ultimately, these complex interactions highlight the intricate and often covert ways political influence operates. They underscore the critical need for rigorous analysis of movements, practical effects, and strategic alignments beyond their stated goals to fully understand their impact on democratic participation, community solidarity, and the ongoing debates around immigration and racial identity in the United States. Now, you see how the landscape of social and political movements is not always straightforward, and vigilance is required to discern how different forces might converge to shape national policy and demographic realities.
Whew, that was a lot. That was a lot. You could tell that nigga went to college and everything. He had a lot to say. That was 40 minutes of I hate you FBA niggas so much. Dick Thug with the 5-ball says we need to have a real discussion about race and the quality of work they put into the environment. We cannot have that discussion, Doug. No. Dick Thug, that is the forbidden conversation. That's like the lambada. That's the forbidden dance. So you're not allowed to talk about race realities. What you're referring to is otherwise described as race realism, and you're not allowed to do that. Maybe if you go to Rumble, you can have that conversation, but no. You're not going to get me. You're not going to catch me slipping. Nah, buddy. But let's close this out with a conversation from Dr. Umar.
Yes. There's something that is so dividing, and it's dividing a lot of communities, I should say. The migrant crisis and ICE agents are present in urban areas, including right here in Chicago. Now, some of our listeners are asking and have asked up to this point, should Black people be getting involved in this issue? Or should we stay laser focused on our own people? Because we're still fighting for basic dignity in this country.
Here is my position on the migrant crisis and the migrant protests that are sweeping the country. No group has ever come to America to help Black people. No group has ever helped Black people. You've had individuals participate in Black struggle, but never as a community. European Jews never said we're going to help Black people as a community. Latinos never said we're going to help Black people as a community. They come here to replace us. And most of them align themselves with the white power structure against African people.
Whoa. Dr. Umar, Prince of Pan-Africanism. I thought we was all in it together. Hold on, Umar. Umi, you talking crazy now. Umi, you wasn't talking like this last year, bro. Last year, you was like, you know, my Latino brothers, my Mexican brothers. Hold up, Umi, you was on some other shit last year.
With that being said, I do not support Black people getting involved in the migrant protests. That is not our fight. If you say you're going to do it.
Nah, he talking crazy because Umar is literally, he's so Pan-African, he stretches that shit to South America, to Asia. Cause you know, the original samurai was black. You know what I'm saying? Like Umar, bro, the nigga was going far with his Pan-Africanism. Now all of a sudden, Umi like, hey, wait, that's not my fight. Nigga, Umi like, hey, the Dominican said me no black.
But am I going to stop you? No. I would never stop someone from doing something that they feel is right. Is Dr. Umar participating? Absolutely not. Am I going to help Donald Trump get them out of the country? Absolutely not. Because as the victims of oppression and the worst victims of American oppression, it would be complete hypocrisy for me to work against the best interests of another people.
Yo, Umi is probably a better representative than anybody in office right now. Low key, because he got his heart in it. He's like, damn, bro, I really can't sell out the home team. That's all I'm asking for. Like, why is it so hard to expect a nigga to put the home team first, bro? Why is that such a crazy conversation? Like, yeah, I mean, I feel bad for y'all niggas over there. You know, you black like me. That's crazy too. I don't know how you got that, but I can't help you, bro. I'm sorry. I gotta, home team, CMB, nigga, we all we got. You know what I mean? Shout out to Umi. This nigga Umi is talking way different,
Am
bro.
I going to help them? That is not my fight.
Now, I'm concerned that if we're looking at what they're doing with the migrants, are we next? Should we get in? But just to circle back, should we get involved just to minimize the situation when or if we're next
out
on
of
that list?
self-preservation?
Exactly.
If we are next, we were.
Wait a minute, but supporting the immigration raids, like working at working at Alligator Alcatraz is literally self-preservation, right? You are helping your team. You're getting rid of the others, and you're taking the job that the others took from you. That you're helping your team. Now, unless you niggas is confused about who and what your team is, that should be pretty simple.
Going to be next anyway, because guess what? They hate you more than the migrants they're trying to get rid of. And one of the reasons it's going to be difficult for you to be next is you are the only non-white people in America who cannot be realistically deported to an ancestral homeland of your own.
Because this is my ancestral homeland. My ancestors were Americans too, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Pops, like I said, immigrant Pop and all that, but all I know is my American side. My slave blood comes straight from my mama, my black mom. Shout out to black mom. But that's kind of the simple, realistic point of Black Americanism, right? Your ancestors are American. Your ancestry doesn't really go back to some ancient mythological homeland. It needs not go there. Your ancestors are American. Your origin story is America.
Because slavery destroyed your psychological and biological connection to your continent of origin. So in order to get rid of black people, you have to come up with a program of genocide. Because as we've already said, a lot of black people don't even identify with being African. Now, Donald Trump is working on a plan to deport inmates to prisons in Central and South America. So I can see a situation where he's able to deport the incarcerated, the convicted. But in terms of general black people, I think it's going to have to be a program of genocide because so many of us do not identify as African in the first place or don't know where we come from.
This is scary because,
what if we do know where we come from and we ain't going nowhere? How about that? Maybe it's not that scary because there's nothing to be afraid of. It's not our problem. It's not our fight.
Identify as African in the first place or don't know where we come from.
This is scary because, it's almost like if you look at it, they may be deporting migrants now, But to what demise does that leave us?
But see, here's the thing: the migrants.
They're gonna send us all to Liberia. They're gonna make us make Liberia great again.
They're deporting them to countries that they know they come from. These people have a ancestral connection to the countries that they're being returned to, and most of them have only been out of them countries for a generation or two.
And this takes me to my next point.
Not 20 generations of slavery.
Because if you're putting them back to their original countries,
yes,
that means that you are removing the responsibility of them being in your country and being harmed. So if they're back in their country, they're their responsibility. But who's coming for us?
Well, they coming for us. Here's my point.
What you mean who's coming for us? What do you mean? Why you think you so special that somebody gonna come for you and take you to El Salvador? You want to be kidnapped, don't you? These chicks always got these oppression fantasies and shit. Oh my God, somebody gonna tie me up and have their way with me. Ain't nobody coming for you. What you mean who's coming for us? Stop.
Your country and being harmed. So if they're back in their country, they're their responsibility. But who's coming for us?
Well, they coming for us. Here's my point. Deportation.
And then Umar goofy ass, he trying to like walk both sides of the fence here. He keeps saying, well, they coming for us, but technically they can't come for us because we baked into the system, but they coming for us anyway. Like, nigga, just tell her, shut the fuck up, man. She worried about nothing.
Only weapon being used or that could be used against African people. As we talked about the miseducation, the mass incarceration, the police genocide, the homelessness, the gentrification, and the economic apartheid, we have more concerns than just being deported. These are individuals who came here, who are benefiting off of the...
Umar talk like the white folk want to just kick everybody else out so that they can focus on oppressing black folk just right. Like all these other brown people, it was too many hands in the pot. You know what I mean? You can only do so much. There's only 24 hours in a day. And so if we get rid of all the other brown people, then white America can get back to oppressing black America like it used to, some classical black oppression. You know what America is good at, right? That's how Umar is talking. Like America is going to get back to just focusing on oppressing niggas. Like it wasn't broke. Why do we ever fix it? You know what I mean?
The black struggle for civil rights and set-asides, who have never spoken up or defended black people at all. And so their argument or their issue is one of people who have recently arrived. They are not the people who built America. We built America. Our argument is completely different as someone who is coming in to benefit from a country that they did not build. We made this country brick by hypocritical brick and have contributed to its building more than any other group. So I see our situation completely different than I see the migrants.
The Prince of Pan-Africanism has folded, y'all. The nigga folded. The Prince of Pan-Africanism has folded. We was Kangs, but we was American Kangs.
Wait, what? Wait, now what's our motto? We was Kangs. We was Kangs!
Umar folded, y'all. That nigga folded to the American FBA flag. He ain't gonna try to hold on to that Pan-Africanism in the face of the immigration machine. Nope. Nope. Let the machine do its work, bruh. Listen, Umar folded. Shout out to Umi. Umi said, we built this country. We ain't going nowhere. Last year, Umi was in the Dominican Republic like, you know, these big booty Latinas, they got some African blood in them. Now it's fuck these Mexicans. Listen, Umi done folded, y'all. Umi has folded to the FBA movement. It's a wrap. Pan-Africanism gonna die. It's over. It's over. There's nothing left. America or nothing, bro. Because if you are a Black American, what do you really have beyond America? Like I said, I can't retire in my dad's country. This is actually a conversation that came up between like my brothers and I, because all my father's sons, we all have a group chat together. And this was years ago. We were talking about Trump and immigration and all this stuff. And one of my brothers, he's actually like, he's the only one that's literally born in the island, and the rest of us are like American. And he was saying that, hey, look, stuff go crazy. He's just gonna go back home or whatever. And I'm like, bro, I don't have a home to go back to. Like, this is my home, so I can't bank on stuff going crazy and then me cashing out. Like, I can't have the scavenger mentality. We gotta make it work. You know what I mean? And so it's literally like that. There's nowhere for you to go if you're a Black American. Like, you can't go to Liberia, you can't go to South Africa, you can't go to Nigeria. Like, all those other places are claimed by other niggas, and they're not going to welcome you to their country like they've been welcomed to this country. And it's okay to acknowledge that and recognize that truth. But that being said, y'all, it's time to get up out of here. I got to take me a nap and get up in the middle of the night and go back to work. So I will leave you guys. You know what? Before we go, let's take a sneak peek. Listen to Camp of the Saints. Let's skip ahead into a random area. This video is only about an hour and 46 minutes, so it's a really short novel, as right as literature goes. But let's take a quick sneak peek listen.
Voter attempt to express outrage and demand a stop to the taking of our citizen money to subsidize foreign colonies in our midst. And it succeeded as a vote per the democratic machinery, but the result was thrown out by a federal appeals court judge, as I recall. So we're not going to allow you to make any peaceful legal change. And as I speak, the media are ganging up as one, and the government as one, to defeat Trump, who wants to build a wall and keep out Muslim terrorists.
It's so crazy. This video is literally titled Camp of the Saints audiobook, and this is a nigga talking about Trump. That's crazy. Like, let me show you the graphics so you know. Like, we both got gaffled together. It says Camp of Saints audiobook, and this is obviously not Camp of the Saints audiobook. Anywho,
The Camp of the Saints by John Raspail, translated by Norman Shapiro, read by Dick Trent and Charles Linton. Chapter 1. The old professor had a rather simple thought. Given the wholly abnormal conditions he had read and reasoned and even written too much, versed as he was in the workings of the mind, to dare propose anything, even to himself, but the most banal of reflections, worthy of a schoolboy's theme. It was a lovely day, warm but not hot, with a cool spring breeze rolling gently and noiselessly over the covered terrace outside the house. His was one of the last houses up toward the crest of the hill, perched on the rocky slope like an outpost, guarding the old brown-hued village that stood out above the landscape, towering over it all as far as the tourist resort down below. As far as the sumptuous boulevard along the water, with its green palms, tips barely visible, and its fine white homes. As far as the sea itself, calm and blue, the rich man's sea, now suddenly stripped of all the opulent veneer that usually overspread its surface, the chrome-covered yachts, the muscle-bulging skiers, the gold-skinned girls, the fat bellies lining the decks of sailboats, large but discreet, and now, stretching over that empty sea, aground some 50 yards out, the incredible fleet from the other side of the globe, the rusty, creaking fleet that the old professor had been eyeing since morning. The stench had faded away at last, the terrible stench of latrines that had heralded the fleet's arrival like thunder before a storm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up on that a little bit later. It sounds like you kind of have to lock in and get to the good stuff. Anyway, I will wrap this one up. We're gonna throw this show in the bag. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate all of your support. We will be back in another day or so. I can't do an everyday show right now because my workload is crazy, but I will be back in another day or so with another show. You guys take care. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great night. Peace, y'all.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.